Okay, so now on the show, I want to take a look at the brand new Australian film that's out in cinemas now, WOG Boys Forever. Now, of course, those of you who listen to my A Critic's Journey podcast will know that I am an absolutely massive fan of the original film. It's one of the best comedies ever made, in my point of view. So WOG Boys Forever, it was probably in my ballpark as being a film that I would enjoy. And I'm here to say that I did enjoy it. Now, I find it really funny because I've been reading other people's reviews over the last few days of this film. And I don't think there's been a film this year that's come out that I've disagreed with more people's views on the film. A lot of people seem to be taking the slant of... are we allowed to laugh at this kind of stuff anymore? And I think you have to say yes. I mean, I know a lot of people that were excited about this film. And the people that were excited about this film were people that I grew up with in Greek and Italian communities. So if it's not okay for them to laugh at the film, then I really don't know what's going on with our brand new society that we find ourselves in these days. But picking up the story-wise, Steve, played by Nick Giannopoulos, is living in Melbourne, and he's actually got a pretty sad story. Things haven't gone well for him after the Kings of Mykonos. He finds himself not being able to afford a proper home. He basically lives in a converted garage, but behind some people that we do meet in this film, part of the Sushi Mango Brigade. At the same time, things have gone very well for Frank, played by Vince Colosimo. His father's pizza chain is now literally a pizza chain. I should have said pizza shop. The pizza chain is now right around Australia. He's a multi-millionaire living with his wife and kids. When it comes to the romance side, Steve has got no one. He's lost his partner that he picked up in Kings of Mykonos. He lives a very, very lonely lifestyle as a taxi driver. In fact, it's quite easy to see that this is a film that touches on mental health because Steve is deeply depressed at the start of this film, even though he probably wouldn't admit that. He's so down on himself and the job that he's doing as a taxi driver that it's actually quite sad to watch. Now, one day he picks up an ex-girlfriend, Cleo, played by Sarah Roberts, and they begin talking, and she kind of hints at the fact that she wishes that she had given him more than 1 week in her life, that she'd given him a little bit more time, and that kind of sparks his interest. It actually sparks him going and talking to Frank for the first time in years and to bury the hatchet that's between them. But unfortunately for Steve, there's other factors here as well. Cleo is dating a notorious kind of nightclub owner called Goldie, played by Anthony J. Sharp. He's not going to give her up anytime soon. And at the same time, if you remember back to the first film, there was a teenager in there that was the daughter of the politician that went after Steve. Well, that daughter, Brianna Beaglethorpe, played by Annabelle Marshall-Roth, is now a politician herself, and she comes after Steve for revenge for her mother. Soon, Steve finds himself once again being ostracized by people like Darren Hinch and having to protect himself, all while trying to make things work with Cleo and trying to get closer to her son, who may be Steve's son. So, some interesting storylines going on there. Now, the thing that really will hit you when you're watching this film is that the screenwriter, Nick Giannopoulos himself, has done something that so few people are able to do with these kinds of movies. He's managed to put some humor in there, touch on serious topics such as men's mental health, the rich versus the poor, which we see when a group of people try to get into Goldie's nightclub at one point. Mixing that comedy with the seriousness of a film like this. Now, I would not have expected when I walked out of the original Wog Boy that one day I would be watching Wog Boy 3 and it would have a more serious tone to it and that it would work. But it does. There are so many moments in this film that are heart-wrenching, especially I think if you're a male of my age group. Like you watch this film and you realize just how life could have been so different for you. So it is. It's an interesting film. I think a lot of the people that are taking swipes at this film are either not fans of the original film or don't fully understand what Nick Giannopoulos was trying to do with this movie. It's very, very obvious which politicians Brianna is based on. There's one point in this film where she brilliantly almost takes off that politician during a press conference scene. So look, if you are a fan of the original film, go along and see Wog Boys Forever. I don't think this is a film that you can go along and see if you haven't seen the other two. You probably could, but you will not get the magic out of this film that those of us who love the previous films will. So look, if you are a fan of the Wog Boy franchise, definitely go along and see Wog Boys Forever. I'm giving it 3.5 out of 5.